Greetings. Oh, more than once I have been heard to say, if you're working too hard, you're probably doing it wrong. Well, you see the sweat here on my t-shirt. I'm working too hard. And so I decided I'm probably doing it wrong this morning, and I think I'll just stop what I was doing and shoot a video instead. Less work, yeah. Maybe if I put the video out there right, maybe somebody will come with a good back and help me. Anyway, so much of that BS, but what I'm here for this morning is I'd like to talk about stick mulching. And the way I got into stick mulching here today was because when we built the new driveway, we had the gravel truck dump the stuff here. Well, I tried to keep it, out of my way so I could get the cars in and out and all that stuff. Well, in the process, it kind of ran off into my landscape here, and what it did was it closed one of the drainage ditches that comes around my house. And that's really important here in Eastern Hawaii. Those drainage ditches will save your life. Sometimes it can really rain here. I have seen 46 inches of rain in 6 days here one time. So we need the ditches. So the only way I could get into the ditch was I had to go in and prune all the plants away because the gravel had run in under coffee and hibiscus and stuff, and I couldn't get it out with a bobcat. So I had to prune the plants, go in with a shovel and a cart, and actually shovel the stuff myself. So right over here you can see that coming along the back side of my house, we had a bunch of vegetation, but we also had a ditch where the grading stops. And it ran this way. Well, it got filled up with gravel and cinders, so I just got done shoveling all that stuff out of there. And what I did with it was I came over here and I created some nice paths up the slope around my coffee trees to get up the hill. I'm going to get some stepstones in there eventually to really make those nice, and we'll embed it in the gravel. Should be really sweet. Using this before and after shot here, you can see what my problem was. I had a great big Viamia white native hibiscus that was hanging down over here, and to get at that gravel right there, I had to cut away a lot of it. Well, I made some cuttings and I found a few pieces that had rooted, and I put them in pots. So I did some propagations. I also cleaned things up a little bit. Now I got a little more space to park a car, blah blah. But I ended up with a lot of hibiscus cutting, way more than I need for propagation. And so I said, gee, looks like it's time to do some more stick mulching. So those of you who are permaculturists, you probably know what I mean when I say stick mulch. Folks living here in Hawaii may be familiar with the term. We use it to some extent over here, but it's definitely part of the permaculture. This stick mulching is where you will have one crop growing in a field that requires additional fertilizer and nutrients in that environment to be able to produce. That's not unusual here in Eastern Hawaii because we get so much rainfall and the soils percolate so fast that nutrients tend to flush away very quickly. And so we really have to be reapplying them. Well, you could be throwing fertilizer out there all the time. I guess you could run 10,000 chickens or something on this order. But a really nice, natural, and integrated solution to this nutrient problem is to grow the crop that needs the feed side by side with one that tends to produce it. Okay, now two common crops used here for this are inga or ice cream bean. These would be planted, say, one row of inga, one row of papaya, one row of inga, one row of papaya, or something on this order. Row of coffee, row of inga. And the inga might produce a certain amount of shade for the coffee and so on, but it's a legume. And so legumes fix nitrogen, and when they go through and coppice the trees and throw the stuff onto the ground around the papayas or the coffee, it decomposes underneath, releases the nutrients that it's stored, and gives the nutrient to the crop like coffee or papaya that has a hard time finding it here, whereas the ingas are really good at locating the nutrients because they get the nitrogen from the air. Now, also the kukui nut, for instance, is also used. That's the one they make the nice necklaces out of. They also make candles. They call it candle nut in some places. The kukui nut tends to fix phosphorus, and so that's another nutrient that's usually always locked up around here. When you use another crop to produce your nutrients, the nutrients that are in that crop are already in the condition that another plant can utilize them. Most nutrients are not really accessible to the plant immediately. They have to go through a biological process first, if they're a mineral or some such thing, before they can be accessible. Now, that's one reason we love seaweed. Seaweed is a great fertilizer. Why? Same reason as a stick mulch. It's already in the form that plants can use because it's coming from a plant. And so, like if you use alfalfa meal on the soil, for instance, alfalfa meal, excellent fertilizer, pretty much already in the state where plants can begin to utilize it. Doesn't have to break down much to be able to be there. Same thing goes with the stick mulching. What I've discovered is, despite the fact that the Inga and the kukui nut are very popular for this here, I believe I've discovered that the classic evergreen hibiscus and our native Hawaiian hibiscus forms seem as if they have the ability to grow in these conditions without additional fertilizer. I don't feed my hibiscus. They grow like crazy. I have to prune them constantly. I was getting a little tired of it until the idea crossed my mind. I said, hey, gee, I got blueberries over here, for instance, that don't feed so well in this soil. I got hibiscus that feed like crazy. And so, well, we cut all the hibiscus down, we take it, and we throw it on the ground around the blueberries. Over here behind me, you'll see what I'm up to. Right over here, I've got a gramachama, one of those delicious Brazilian cherry bushes. And down here on the ground in front of it, Viamia white, the native hibiscus. Over here you'll see my ever handy trusty dump cart filled with pieces of coffee and hibiscus. Right over here we have some blueberries. And the blueberries, again, I am mulching them with hibiscus wood. I take the hibiscus wood, I lay it down on the ground. I take a pair of loppers and I chop on it a little bit to get it so it's not so fluffy and a trip hazard, so it'll lay down some. Then I just sit there and let it go ahead and drop into the soil, let the leaves dry up and fall as fertilizer. They decompose very, very quickly. And then after things get pretty well stripped naked, I will turn around, take a power mower, go on over the top of the sticks, and then turn the sticks into wood mulch down here around the bottom of the blueberries. And then usually what happens after that, right over here is a great example of what a stick mulch looks once it's a month old around here. You can see all the twigs all laying here, all the leaves are already broken down, turned into fertilizer. The stick mulch in this case is coming from this variegated red hibiscus over here. I just cut everything and laid it around the little guy. So that's what it ends up looking like in short order. I'll take the lawnmower over that pretty soon and grind it up before I start piling it on again. Because when the mulch begins to break down real well and start to feed the soil, well, first thing happens is it turns into weeds. And this is exactly what everything looked like right over here this morning before I got going and started dumping stick mulch all over. After a while, keeping this process up, we'll have so much organic matter laying on the soil over here that I'm not going to have this big a weed problem, because a mulch keeps a weed down. But there you go, folks, utilizing hibiscus as a stick mulch to feed other crops here in Hawaii. Hey, aloha, happy gardening, and hang loose.